Lazarus was really polarizing. Wait, hold on, that was the title for my last video.
When I get to snapping like doo-wop, really got the juice like Tupac.
Free me. Really? Do you have any idea how long I'm serving?
888 years.
Got a strong jaw, might chew rock. Got me coming out the blue like new cop. I've been rocking by myself.
Like, comment, subscribe, it helps. I remember as a kid I used to surf on cable TV a lot, especially things I should not have been watching at the time period of a child, but nevertheless captivated me and made me who I am today. So I love that I did that. But one of the things that I watched as a kid was Cartoon Network, and on Cartoon Network, as everyone knows, when it became time for like 8-9 o'clock, it was Adult Swim time, where we would get shown a variety of different shows, from something that is known from Aqua Teen Hunger Force to something that is completely unknown like this. But as you all know where this is going, Adult Swim also had a block on Saturday nights, which was Toonami. Toonami had all the animes that you can really think of that were popular at the time period, and some minor ones that weren't as popular as others, but that's where my love of anime first started and what it really captivated me. Time skip to more recent times, and we see that Toonami wanted to air out some animes, and some of the like, which was Ninja Kamui as well as Lazarus. Ninja Kamui was a bit of a disappointment because I had so much potential, and Lazarus was almost felt like it was in that same ballpark. But the big major differences are, with Lazarus, I felt like there was a lot more good than bad than Ninja Kamui, where it just was a lot of bad, whether we're talking about the animations, the characters, or stuff just kind of falling apart. But I'm not gonna really get into that because I already did a video on that already. But before I get to my positives and negatives on Lazarus, let me at least get into the story of what Lazarus is. A man by the name of Skinner, who is apparently the smartest person in the world, and no one has been smarter than him since Einstein, has basically made a drug that's a painkiller called Hopna. Now, Hopna was a drug that everyone in the world was using because it made them feel good. It made kind of all that pain go away with no side effects whatsoever. But come to find out 4 years later that Skinner told everyone that this drug actually is going to kill everyone in 30 days unless you can find me. One of the most biggest and most insane games of hide and go seek I've ever seen in my fucking life. But we cut to a character by the name of Axel, and Axel is a person that's escaped prison multitude of times, but he's in prison right now. He gets approached by a lady about joining a group called Lazarus, and he promptly declines and actually puts a gun to her head and escapes this prison. He later gets captured later on by Lazarus, and he gets put into this group of 4 other people by the name of Christine, Doug, Leland, and Lania. But with the story out of the way, I want to always go over the negatives first before we go over the positives. With the negatives, I have to say one of the big negatives I have about this is the characters themselves. Well, half of them feel like they were developed, and the other half feel like it was either rushed or not that much thought was given into this person's character. I feel like it's a topic that we either briefly go over or we just talk about a very minor conversation about, just like Leland. I feel like Leland, we barely get to talk about him at all. We only get that little bit of information of how he was getting treated unfairly at this school, but this professor came to help him and made sure that he wasn't treated unjustly just because of the color of his skin. But that feels like that's just kind of it when it comes to Leland. Then you also have Elena, who feels a bit underdeveloped when it came to her story, and you finding out about how she was once a part of this religion that had Naga, and Naga had the brain of Skinner, really the brain scans of Skinner, and was made into the artificial AI that people came to worship. Now, I thought this was a really cool concept. What I felt like in the episode, we just kind of rushed through it, and we kind of just hit all the beats that we needed to hit until we got to the end of the episode. And maybe you want to say, I want them to take their time when it came to these characters and fleshing them out and saying who they are as a person. Then there's also Axel, who I felt like we didn't get a lot of. He felt just a bit into the archetype of being the cool guy and getting tidbits of information that accumulates into his character of why he is the way he is. Also feel like I want to get into the concepts. Funny enough, I like the every single concept that this show really gave me. I just didn't like some of the executions that we did have. For example, the execution for Skinner, where partially I really liked it and partially I didn't, because it felt like he fell into that trap of nihilism. He fell into the trap of a bad event happening to him and him having a complete nihilistic view on the world just because of this happening. Not only just because of this, he was also had the whole backstory of the world turning his back on him when he's literally trying to save the world and inform the world, hey, this is going on, but no one wants to listen. Almost feeling a little bit like John Kramer from Saul, but then again, only one bad event happened to him, and he wanted to kind of save the world in his own different way. I don't know, it feels a little John Kramer-y, but besides the point. I really did like the idea that he put out of them all enduring the journey that he went through himself, of going to find him, and them having their own answer if the world should be worth saving, as well as the simple fact of his nihilistic outview wasn't fully nihilistic, because he literally still gave the world a chance of being able to be saved. It's not like he said, alright, fuck it, you're all fucked, good night. He gave us a chance to save humanity. But then it kind of sucks that I literally called out when I first saw him in episode 3 that he was hiding in a hobo camp. It literally was him. That was the twist the whole time. It was him there the whole time, and they just passed him. And I was like, I called out, like, he literally looks like the guy that they're looking for. That's weird. And they literally just went back to what was happening before. I was like, oh, that's kind of... alright. This show has some good pauses as well. I do enjoy when a show sometimes wants to take a break and have some fun with the characters or them doing fun things, which happened a few times during the show, which was really nice to see. But I do want to talk about some of the action on this show, and the action was done extremely well. It was directed by one of the people that was on Cowboy Bebop, which is something that was said multiple times throughout the promos, but it was done very well. I love the action in this show. I can definitely rewatch some of those scenes a few times. Then there's Christian and Doug. I feel like they were the most developed throughout the whole show. I really do like Christian and Doug. Christian was a person that was forced to be in the Russian government that had her own handler, that they were both lovers, but when she had a way out of getting out, she took the way out and joined America and joined the American military, gaining a complete new lease on life. Then there's also Leland. Leland was really cool in here because I love how Leland was completely fleshed out. Of sometimes we get a reminiscence of him saying, man, I really wish we kind of don't find him, or I want Lazarus to keep on going. And you find out Leland has been by himself and hasn't really had a lot of good family moments because his father had an affair and he was the affair child, and having that connect back to Leland and him having this family in this newfound government operation that's called Lazarus. But with all that being said, I feel like this show shows a lot of potential. I still want another season. I want them to flesh out all of this. I want them to flesh out the characters. I want them to flesh out all the ideas that they had. I want them to have a new story with more villains and having it be more grandiose. I can see it doing even better if we could just stay and focus on these specific topics. It reminded me of two different things I've seen before. One was extremely recent, like yesterday, and the other one was a year or two ago that I made a video on. But the first one was Fantastic Four. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything with Fantastic Four. The only thing what I will be saying is one of the elements in there is that we do get those characters and we get a small amount of information about them, but it's extremely meaningful and you understand who this person is to their core. Now that's kind of what I wanted a lot more with Lazarus. And the second one that I would compare it to is Michiko and Hachin. Michiko and Hachin has a lot of similarities in the sense of a wild goose chase of getting to the specific objective and us having other minor side quests or side stories that we're going to have to go through on this adventure, with you really caring and loving these two characters all the way up until the end, fleshing out main characters but also characters we'll never see again. But those two series do something that I wanted Lazarus to do and be better at, but I still see a whole bunch of potential in it and I want him to give another shot at it. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.